わたいなたいなたひなひなた
波のリズムを感じて連続作戦なのだわ。攻撃続行。波乗りタイム。なめないでください。にゃっはあにゃっはっいってクーレントできるよ。ボディがお留守なのだわ。潮風が頬を撫でる。ごめん遊ばせ。剣の舞うまま完璧な新メタリー。舞いなさい。育児なしはバイバイ。 お手合わせは
俺様の出番だ。どいてどいて。
いちいち相手してられないだろ。はっやっ波しぶきがザッポーン。なめないでください。やっ空楽で参りなさい。ステージ衣装だおな今日の夜の
私はこの授業出なきゃダメ。一元なんだっけ。だる。
これ夏今日の夜のバイト王様とひと夏のランデブー。
Okay, so this needs 4, and she needs 7 for this. So if I get 3, it'd be 9. I have too many. What do you need? You need that, which I don't have that many. Farming those are kind of annoying. Oops. And I have none of those. She needs those. Okay, so she also misses a few. You also need those, though. So, yeah, let's just do that then. Yeah, see, that's the problem, is if I put Seed first and have her do her thing, then Trigger will then try to quick assist back to Seed, which is kind of annoying. It's like...
甘く見た代償よ。息もさせません。自業自得ね。甘く見た代償よ。
全滅モードへ行こう。破壊行軍開始。
の修正を行います。
中火でまんべんなく焼こうね。超呼吸の今よ。今よ。隙だらけ息もさせません。自業自得ね。
アンビ、これが戦いの戦術。
紅だ
制圧する闘気です。弾道を計算中。
これは僕たちのおごりだよ。
二次攻撃対象確定。
自業自得ね。今よ。自業自得ね。これは僕たちのおごりだよ。グッモーニング。
Oh, interesting. So you start with a ton, and if you don't buy anything, you get even more of a ton, which honestly isn't that helpful. Oh, interesting. Honestly, I don't like Cynthia. I just don't. I think we get her as a trial. We get her as a trial. I don't like playing her. She's not fun. Like, she has the same problem that, like, all the, she has the same problem that, like, all the attackers do, pretty much, is that, like, they feel super weak, and they aren't fun. Like, her kit is just so weird. Like, I'm not sure exactly how it's supposed to work, where it's like, I mean, I understand, like, the basic actual, so you press your skill, and you get your stacks. Oh fuck, yeah, I don't know what I already have and what I don't. You press your skill, you get your attacks. You press your skill, and you get your stacks, and it's like, okay, well, that's fine, you know. You got your stacks, and then, like, every now and then you'll trigger a little lightning shock, which will decrease their defense or something like that, or increase, basically, however it does, either debuff or the buff. Stealth. Oh, okay. Oh, no, not all 18. So, so increase your damage dealt, either a debuff on them or a buff on you. I forget which one it was, but I think it's a debuff on them. It's like their defense is lower, and then you can hold basic, and then it's like you consume all stacks to do a big blast downwards. Okay, so I have 3,000. So if I leave with 3,000, suppose if I don't spend any money after going into a store, I get a bonus. So I had 3,000. So he's going to get 20%. 20% bonus. Actually, no, it's 40% bonus. Yeah, I think about it. Oh, okay, so there's one more. So yeah, like, and like just whenever I got her, she just kind of felt weak. Like as part of the bonus, she just felt kind of weak. As part of the bonus, she just kind of felt kind of weak. She was like, as part of the bonus, the trial. As part of the trial, it was like, I didn't quite understand what I was supposed to do.
Champion が来てやったぞ。So yeah, like that's kind of like the tough thing, is that like
I tried using her, and she doesn't feel super strong. Is that? And that's kind of like, and honestly, it seems like it could be a problem they have with attackers in general, where they just don't seem to be really good at making them strong. Like, they're like the attackers of the frontline units. The attackers are the only ones getting buffs. Ellen got a buff. Soldier 11 got a buff. The only one that hasn't gotten a buff is Evelyn. Evelyn has remained in a good state. So go to this. Go to the shop, and then just leave without even buying anything. Get a big pile. But yeah, like they just are kind of weak because like it's fine. They just kind of feel weak because it's kind of like in Genshin, why like Geo always felt kind of shit. Geo felt like shit because Geo felt like shit Geo felt like shit because it didn't react. So the only damage Geo could do was purely from their actual damage. Okay, so now 54. So, like, Geo damage was only from... Damn it. Geo teams were just like, no, like, it's the only damage they do is just from their actual normal basics, all that shit. Whereas, like, every other team had their normal damage, like normal, basic, all that shit, all that damage, but then amplified by reaction, you know? And that's why, like, Melt and Vapor are so strong, is because of the reactions. Melt and Vapor did the most damage, and, like, transformative reactions like Electro just never did well, and never performed well. Electro was not great until Dendro came out, and then Dendro really elevated Electro teams. So, like, so that's the thing, is that, yeah, like, Dendro was pretty much necessary for that. For that to kind of become useful. Up until that point, they were kind of like... Oh shit, I did the wrong one. Fuck. So it's basically, attackers kind of have that problem, is that attackers, so like for a reaction thing, for the anomaly agents, the anomaly agents have their normal attack. Like, typically they're also not built for crit, whatever, so they can go all in on attack, but like, all their attacks still do damage. But then they also trigger anomalies and disorders. And because they're triggering anomalies and disorders, okay, so I'm kind of hoping I could double dip on that, or I can get one shop going into another shop, because I want to spend some of my shit on some of the stuff. So now I have 67. Did I do this stuff? Okay. So therein lies the problem, is that for the for the anomaly agents, they do their normal damage that they do just from their attacks and all that shit. And then also, you know, they also have
もうちょい寄ってあれかなはあエンジェルターンチリン水星コンチェルト
So that's why anomaly agents are just so good. Is because okay, cool. There we go. Oh, actually, that would be better because they are anomaly agents and they do scale at that. But this actually is probably better, mainly because it's either damage. An attack of 2,700 is only like a 10% increase, so I think a 40% increase will be better. But yeah, so like the anomaly agents, they do all their normal attacks do damage, and all scales of their attack, which they're all maxing out. Okay, let's get Zonium. Right, fucking might as well. Okay, so I don't really care. This is all gonna be easy enough anyway. So not only are their attacks, not only are their attacks doing damage, but then when they do their anomalies and their disorders, it also gets a huge. Oh shit! I can't tell. I can't tell what this is. I literally can't scroll down on that because if I press X, it just selects it, and there's no. Or actually, maybe I need to do trigger buttons. But anyway, so yes, so that's why anomalies are always so powerful, is because like it seems like they're scaled so that their attacks are not negligible, even though so their attacks aren't completely useless. Honestly, I don't really care about Rupture. Let's do some let's do Nolly. Damage dealt, obviously, is going to be super useful. Dodge. Gonna get hit a lot, so it's like whatever. Just get more anomaly stuff. Oh, that's kind of cool. Useful. That's kind of useful. Okay, let's do another. Oh, okay, that's gonna be good. Insanely good. Oh, wow. Perfect, I have enough for all these affliction stuff. These are all insane buffs for my team. Okay. Whereas the attackers, their only damage is from like attacking, and like the only reason that, and I think the only reason that they're even doing so well. The only reason that like Evelyn, the only one who hasn't been buffed, is doing so well is because So like, and there's so many, and like Disorder does a lot of damage. And typically the whole point was that Disorder was difficult to trigger. The point was like, oh, Disorder is difficult to trigger because the only way to get Disorder is you have to build the gauge, you have to build the anomaly gauge on one anomaly, and then while they're afflicted by that anomaly, so you get the electro gauge fully up, and then all of a sudden they're afflicted with like electrification for a little bit. And if you're able to build the anomaly gauge of another attack at the same time, then if you're able to do that, oh, Astra, fine. I actually do like Astra. If you're able to do that, so if you're able to build up the electro gauge in one, they get afflicted by the electro anomaly. Then you do a physical, and you're able to trigger a physical anomaly, an assault. Then you get a Disorder, because while you were triggered the assault while they were afflicted by an electro anomaly. So there's damage from the anomaly itself, right? So just triggering the electro or triggering the assault does damage, but then triggering the Disorder does additional damage on top of that. And so it's just, and that would be, and the idea, I think, when it was first created was like, well, you know, you're doing these things, but like it's hard to trigger these things, right? Like, oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to trigger them all the time because you have to make it work. Because it takes time to build the anomaly from both things, and you have to have them both afflicted at the same time. So like, there's gonna be some windows where you're gonna get one, and before you can get the other, it falls off, so you're not able to, you know. So the idea was like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of tricky. It's semi-tricky to do. Not super difficult, especially if you have them built well and swapping correctly. But then they did some things where it's like, oh, actually, we're going to have some anomaly agents automatically be able to trigger Disorders, right? So like Yanagi is able to trigger Disorders. Even like her skill or her burst is able to do, they trigger 2 Disorders, and her skill can trigger Disorder. And then Miyabi is really powerful, and she gets a huge power bump when she gets a more gauge. She gets her special gauge filled up when the Disorders are triggered. So Yanagi, who can like trigger it all the time, makes her super strong and able to do that attack fairly frequently. And then for this team, it's like I don't think it's guaranteed to trigger Disorders, but like when Arya is doing her, you know, her dive bomb attack, like she's triggering a lot of blooms. She's able to trigger blooms, which do extra damage, and then also Disorder. So it's like they've done all these things to like improve their damage, and so their base damage is all pretty good, and then they get all this extra bonus damage from anomalies added on top of it, which makes them incredibly powerful. Whereas for like attacking units, all their damage has to come from their actual kit. There is no bonuses, like even if they trigger anomalies, like they're not going to be triggering anomalies that frequently because you're going to stack them for crit rate and attack. And that was the other thing too, is that, and for anomaly mastery units, you don't have to worry about crit rate and attack, crit rate and crit damage, because anomalies can't crit. So you just stack anomaly mastery and anomaly proficiency, so you fill up the gauge faster and do more damage when it does trigger. Whereas for attack units, you need crit rate and crit damage, and it's hard to build those. It's hard to get them super high. It's far more annoying to actually do, because for anomaly units, your main source of anomaly proficiency and anomaly mastery is from your weapon, and then the 6th and 4th slot of your relic. And it's the main stat that you're doing. So you're just doing main. So the 6th slot of your relic is going to be anomaly mastery, and then the 4th slot will be anomaly proficiency, and that's where a majority of your stats come from. And then your W engine, but like the W engine you get when you get the character, or there are good alternatives that boost it as well. That's where a majority is. In fact, you can't even get anomaly mastery as a substat. The only substat anomaly could get is anomaly proficiency as a substat, and then it's just attack. So you just want attack percent, flat attack, So it's like, it's super easy and it's a super basic thing. So it's much easier to build them, especially because like for the attack units, sure, you can have crit rate or crit damage for slot 4 and attack percent for slot 6, but then you still need a ton of crit rate and crit damage substats to actually be useful. Because like depending on what your ascension bonuses are, you might be able to, it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh well, for slot 4 you put crit damage because your drive set bonuses and your ascension bonuses and your substats are high enough to boost your crit rate to the point where you can then go crit damage. But there are still some times where it's like, oh shit, I have to go crit rate for that slot 4 relic because I just don't have enough crit rate on all my other gear. So basically you need every single one of your drive piece relics to basically have crit rate substats. Crit rate and crit damage substats, just so that you can get a decent level of crit rate. And then once you do that, then you can be like, okay, cool, I have a good crit rate. Maybe now after farming shitloads of other relics, that I have enough crit rate in that I can now swap my C4, my slot 4 to a crit damage one and get more bonuses. So it's just so much more pain in the ass to farm and build. And the only reason Evelyn is just so good is because her chain damage bonuses are so high that during burst windows, she gets an insane damage boost. And the fact that with Astra can trigger her chain attack for free. So normally you need to have three stacks of her thing before you can do her chain attack. But with Astra and her burst, just swapping to her instantly triggers the chain attack, and then you can maybe trigger another one. So with the insanely high damage modifier during a stun window, she can still be viable because of the damage she outputs during that moment. Whereas other units are not really designed for huge burst damage. I mean, technically you could say Soldier 11 kind of is. If you have a decent amount of energy into a stun window, you can then just hold your EX special, get your 3 stacks, then do your EX special, hit your EX button 3 times to trigger your aftershocks, then hold it again 3 more times, then your burst. So you can get like 3 of your big heavy hitting EX special attacks all buffed and all that shit. So yeah, you do have a moment, but I don't know, it just feels so much weaker. So it's just kind of, so attack units just never felt great because they're like more involved and more complicated to use. Their damage doesn't feel as good as all the other ones. They're harder to build. It's just like, they're rough, right? They're just like, basically the amount of time it was taking me to beat that Notorious Hunt, if I swapped to like a Yanagi Miyabi team, it would probably take about the same amount of time. And I'm not even like my Trigger Electro team was all Electro, and it's weak to Electro. And I got a 15% Electro bonus from the Rosonium right at the start. And even then, it still took me a decent chunk of time. Now, some of it is just like, waiting for the burst window to come up, waiting for the phase transition. Which, I mean, to be fair, I think I'm able to kill for phase 1 pretty quickly. But it's like the Yanagi Miyabi team, even without all damage type bonuses, still can do it in about the same amount of time. Maybe a little longer, but even still, it's still decently good. So that's why when Sissia comes out, I'm like, I tried her playstyle, I'm like, she doesn't feel super strong. Like I'm doing, it does kind of suck that they didn't really give you a good party member to do it with. They're like, oh yeah, here's Sissia and Billy. And Billy is insanely weak. And he has no synergy whatsoever with Sissia at all. So it's just so Sissia is basically carrying it. And attack units usually aren't super amazing by themselves. Usually you need some really good supports. That's why Evelyn with Astra is so helpful and so useful. And Miyabi without Yanagi would be would be rough too. And then Astro works really well with the Yanagi and Miyabi teams because it allows you to swap between them really easily, so that Yanagi can keep popping in, doing her EX special to trigger disorders and shit, and then swapping back, and then a quick swap back to Miyabi. So, oh, it's this one. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, I see. So anyway, all right, there we go. So yeah, so okay, so this is actually super quick. I didn't realize it was. This. I saw it mention kind of photo stuff, but so yeah, it's just that. It's just one of those things where it's like they just feel kind of weak, and so I'm just like, maybe Sissy has a good team member. Like Seed definitely works well with Sissia, because Seed works well with Soldier 11. She works well with good attackers. She works well with other attacking units, because when Seed does her EX special, she boosts the other attacking unit. When the other attacking unit does their EX special, they boost Seed. So as long as you're able to swap between them doing their EX specials frequently, then you're fine. Now maybe Astro would work well because she would allow them to swap, allow the characters to swap. So I don't know, just it feels like Sissy is not super strong because like you're kind of relying on your EX special to get those stacks, and then it seems like you consume them all to use them, or maybe there's more of an advantage. Maybe with the debuff that the Lightning Strike that consumes a stack does is that it can do attack off field, so it can lower their. So while Seed's active, you'll still be consuming those things to debuff the enemy, which can further boost Seed's damage. I'm not sure. It's the kind of thing you have to like use, and just using her playstyle, playing her as the trial character, I'm just like I wasn't super impressed, right? Like I got, like the only reason I got Soldier 11, sorry, the only reason I got Soldier 11 is because I needed an Electro team, because I was trying some of the more challenging content where you had to send, where you had 3 bosses, and you had to send one team in for each boss, but you couldn't reuse characters. So having a lot of characters helped. And then there are just bosses that are weak to electric, and that's it. And I didn't have any electric DPS units at all. I just had supports with like Rena, and then like Trigger released. I'm like, okay, cool. I had Qingyi as well. So, but the problem with Qingyi is she has to stay on the field. Like, to charge her thing a lot, she's like on the field just zapping around, and she can get smacked out of that, and it takes time. Trigger is just a much better electro stun unit because she can do everything off field. Though I don't know, like when I was seeing her, it didn't seem like her stun was increasing by that much when she was fighting that notorious monster. So maybe Qingyi would be better because she can build stun faster. Because basically, because she's on field, once you build your gauge, she can then hold her basic attack to this long line of attacks that all do really good stun. So maybe that's the difference, is that for enemies where you have a moment to build Qingyi's gauge, maybe she can build stun faster. So that might be more worthwhile. But either way, there just weren't that many electro attacks. You know, like we only had like the only electric users, the only electric characters were Rina and Anby, and then they introduced Jingyi and Yanagi, but Yanagi was more for anomaly teams, not necessarily for. I mean, it's good for electro damage, but like she just works so much better with. She only she works really well with Miyabi, so she's clearly not an electro-only team. So if you needed to fight a boss that was weak to electric, then sure, she's fine. Like if you don't have team restrictions and you don't have a better use for Miyabi, then sure, you could throw Yanagi in with that. But like she wasn't really good for like an all-electric team. Like she could still be used, but like the whole point is that she does disorders, and you only get disorders when you use when you trigger multiple types of anomalies at the same time. When you trigger 2 anomalies at the same time, then you get a disorder. Now, Yanagi can't trigger it manually just by using her skill or her burst, but like that's the only time she'd ever trigger it, and that's where she gets a lot of her damage from. So it's like it's not the best. It's fine, but it's not the best. And so, and that's just kind of what it was. Like there just weren't other electro units. Like Rina was really tough. Like Rina's a support, and like her support window is so insanely small too. It's like yes, well her little when you do her EX specials to trigger her dolls attacking, you get a quick assist, and then you get like 5 seconds of a buff. So that increases your penetration ratio, which is basically your defense strategy. So with her buff up, you do more damage because you're ignoring more defense. But that's it. And then there was Grace too. But Grace is an anomaly unit, and she was never really she never felt that strong. Like, and she felt kind of weird to use because the idea is that her basic attack fills up her little batteries, and then you do your EX special to unload it, doing extra damage if your batteries are full. But the problem is you never generated energy fast enough, so you would easily, with just like a few basic attacks, your batteries are all full, but your energy wasn't. But the thing, she was also an on-field anomaly unit, which is like really didn't have anyone to synergize well with. And even now, you would never pick Grace over like Yanagi if you want an anomaly support. And she's terrible as an anomaly main. So it's like, and so she's a support for Electro. Well, support for anyone really, not just Electro. Defense Tread is good for anything, so she doesn't have to be Electro. But like, if you wanted to do an Electro team, you could have her. But her buff window is so small, it's just like kind of really hard, really annoying to work around. And then there's Anton, and I just absolutely hate his playstyle, and he also feels weak as shit. So it's like the Electro units just were never really that good. And then they added Jingyi, and she was really useful. I used her a lot. She definitely did build stun really well for little random weak mobs. She was super powerful because while she's charging her staff and doing electric all around her, it would always stun the little guys. So basically you got free reign to charge it up and build a ton of stun on them. Against big bosses, they'll still move, but, can't win them all. And then they introduced Yanagi, which didn't really work well. But she's not perfect she's fine for all electric teams, but she works better in teams with multiple elements, like Miyabi, so they can both build the anomaly gauge and trigger Cryo and Electro together and get disorders and all that shit. And so then when Trigger came around, it's like, oh cool, an off-field Electro stun, so that's much better. Like, Jingyi had a problem with being able to, needing to be on-field to do most of her damage. Trigger, you can kind of just not use her. And around the same time, we got Soldier 11, and Soldier 11 just felt... And I got her, because I'm like, okay, cool, now I can finally have an Electro team. So it was Trigger, Rina, and Soldier 11, or Soldier 0. But she was just so weak. Like, I tried using her in the battles, and it just, all the other teams were like crushing their bosses, and this team just had a really hard time. And this was a boss that was already weak to electric. So I had 3 all electric team members, and they just still just took this team so much longer to defeat the boss than the other 2 bosses. And then Seed came around, I'm like, okay, Seed works well with her because they're both attacking units. She buffs the other attacker. Her will buff that. So that was, this team was pretty good. But again, it still just kind of felt underwhelming compared to the Anomaly teams. Like, when Jane came around, she was so insanely powerful. And she just felt super good to use. And then, like, Bernice paired well with her, too. So it's like, just the Anomaly units feel better to play, feel more fun to play, and all the strongest ones, like Alice, Yuzuha, Vivian, like, all the strongest units are Anomaly. It's crazy that the attackers are the shittiest units. Although, actually, technically, well, no, she's not an attack. Oh, no, she's an attacker. Sorry, never mind. Oh, Rupture. Yeah, so Xiao Guang is like the only attack unit that actually feels fun to play and is actually really strong. All the other ones don't. And it still is the Anomaly that are the best and easiest and most fun to play, in my opinion. But anyway, that's all I was planning on doing. I just wanted to pop in, do my Hollow Zero, get that done for the week, so I don't have to worry about it before I head off to FanFest. So yeah, so I'm gonna. I was thinking I was gonna play Crimson Desert tonight. I'm really not sure anymore because I just heard that the Expanse Osiris Reborn beta is now active and live, and I'm like, oh shit! So I have a key for that because I got the collection edition for the game because I trust Owlcat Games. They make really good games. Rogue Trader is insanely fun and insanely good. So I'm really looking forward to Dark Heresy, which is coming out next in the Warhammer 40k universe. But then I also saw that they were doing an Expanse thing, and I heard the good things about the Expanse show, and it looked really interesting. Now, typically, I'm not really a first-person or third-person shooter type of player, but people are likening it to like Mass Effect, and if it has all the, because the Owlcat does make Rogue Trader, I'm thinking, oh crap, like, are they going to do something, that's going to have all the meaningful choices that Rogue Trader had, but just as a first-person shooter or third-person shooter in a Expanse universe. So, which would basically just be what Mass Effect was. Mass Effect was just a shooter where you explore space and make some meaningful decisions that change how your story unfolds. Which it seems that that's what this Osiris Reborn is going to be. So I never really played Mass Effect, even though I have the Legendary Edition. And at some point, I will eventually go back and play the Legendary Edition. So play through Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. But so I'm like, oh shit. So the beta just came out today. So like, this is kind of the best day to do it. I don't know. It's kind of one of these tough things where it's like, I'd like to do it, but then like, I'm going to be gone tomorrow to head off to FanFest, and then FanFest will be Friday, Saturday. So I might get back on Sunday. So I'll only be able to really play one day, which is not the end of the world, obviously. So it's like, do I want to play just one day and not again? Although, and even though I say this, I'm already kind of like 99% sure I'm going to play it. Because it's the kind of thing where it's like, if I don't like it, I'll just stop, right? If I don't like the game, I'll stop. We'll see how it goes. It looks really cool. I'm not against first-person or third-person shooters. Like, I play the Borderlands franchise. I like Borderlands for the story. I think the story is the main story and the side quests are fun, so I kind of enjoy that. Although Borderlands, it being a looter shooter, is kind of designed around being insanely overpowered and getting like super powerful builds and guns so that you just like wipe the floor with content. Whereas for a game like Mass Effect, That's not really the case. You're not like, it's not really about, oh yeah, you got this gun and now you just fucking destroy everything. Generally, Mass Effect, from what I understand, is more balanced. So there are no like super guns, there are no super builds. Obviously there are builds, like where you put your skill points, what guns you get and stuff like that, but generally it seems that it's far more balanced. Because the whole point of a looter shooter like Borderlands is that you're supposed to get these guns and builds that just destroy everything. You know, you're supposed to find the part that's amazing build that synergizes well with each other, because you have a huge amount of, you have a bunch of skill points that you can put in a variety of trees and stuff like that. And then get guns that really, you know, accentuate it. You know, like how the Oh My God works really well with the that electric shield. So basically, this shield that instead of consuming ammo, will consume. No, the Oh My God consumes shield instead of ammo. But then they're like this particular energy electric shield. I forget what it's called now. I'm thinking about it. It's been a while since I played the game. But basically, every time you do damage, you have a chance to get free overshield. So the idea is that you have an SMG that consumes shield instead of ammo. So basically, as long as you have shield, you never have to reload it. And it's a consistent beam attack. So it's an SMG that just fires a laser. So it means it gets a lot of hits. It has a huge amount of fire rate and consumes shield instead of ammo. And your shield will generate overshield. You have a 10% chance to just get an overshield. So basically, because of the number of hits and all that shit, you're basically constantly, as long as you're able to continuously hit the enemy and trigger the effect of the shield, you have unlimited shield, and then therefore have unlimited ammo. Now, obviously, the failure of this build happens if you ever take a hit and you lose your shield, then you're kind of fucked. It's not like the gun is bad now, but now you're consuming ammo and you have to reload, and that takes time. Also, the shield itself provides bonus damage. If you have full shields. So it's like, oh, you do 50% bonus electro damage if you have full shields. So this, and the Oh My God SMG is an electric SMG. So your damage from the SMG is insanely, it gets bumped as long as you have a shield. And then I have the amp version of it too, which drains your shield a percentage to do even more damage. But it 100% requires you to have your fucking shield up, which means you have to be doing damage. You can't miss any of your shots, so you have to do damage consistently. So you have to aim really well to make sure they're always in sight. And then you can't take any damage to accidentally remove your shield, because then you no longer get those buffs. So your damage drops down immensely. But anyway, so either way, I'm looking forward to it, because like I've only seen kind of the trailers, so I'm not sure how it actually plays. So I'm looking forward. So I'll probably be doing that later tonight. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.